CMU. What can both you as a Congress member and my colleagues, students and faculty at CMU, Pitt, and other universities do to protect our First Amendment rights beyond signing petitions and protesting?
That is one of the most important questions that we have, and I know it doesn't feel like it, but when we talk about a slipping democracy, the first thing that's under attack is your First Amendment. There is a reason why it's the first one. There's a reason why freedom of speech, of assembly, of religion, but speech and assembly in particular are the first ones. Because if you can train students, young people, which is the heartbeat of all movements, every movement that we've had throughout history has been driven by student activism, by young people's activism, and joined in by other people, but led primarily by the energy, the ingenuity, and the bravery of young people. But what we've seen are attacks on that for a reason. Before I say what Congress can do, because listen, I've been very clear. I've been very clear about the importance of campus protests, very clear about the importance of First Amendment rights and not eroding them. And obviously, Khalil is a person who comes to mind, a student who was disappeared, and is now in a facility in Louisiana. And a lot of people, because of the contention and the debate that is happening behind that, are missing the actual point of what we're really talking about, which that actually is not an instance just of Israel and Palestine. It's actually an instance of American citizenship, our rights, our civil liberties, and our freedom of speech. And that's why it's so important that we frame it that way and that we stop each other from cutting off that debate. It is really important. So as we've already discovered, he was the first, but he's not been the last. Since then, we've already seen attacks on green card holders. We've seen attacks on students. Columbia has already punished students by revoking degrees, but not returning money. I don't understand how that one works. But these are important conversations because it doesn't seem important when it's just students who are fighting their administration or who are even, fighting out against a topic that you might find comfortable or uncomfortable. But the problem is that when the real threat is keeping students, keeping you, keeping each and every one of us from speaking up against Trump, against the dictator, whoever that dictator may be, whoever that autocrat is. You cannot question the government. And people are afraid to do that now, which is truly, truly weakening us as a movement to be able to counteract what he's doing. There are so many things that he's doing that's illegal. And in those moments when our government is acting rogue, we rely on the people to be the final check and balance. But if we've allowed and we've handed over our First Amendment right, then we are not able to fight back. So students, I will say that your First Amendment right, your history is a storied history of activism, of action and organizing. You are a part of a long legacy, from apartheid South Africa to the civil rights movement, to the women's suffrage movement, to the anti-Vietnam War movement, to so many more. But all of these movements will always come at a cost. It's never been without a price to pay. And especially when that price is steepest, is when we need you the most. But we also need the people who are not students to support them. So the thing that we need most is not actually the students signing petitions, sign them, but we need you, community members, to surround them. We need you to speak up when we have students who are right now facing charges for their activism. Do you know if you get a felony conviction, you can never run for office? They're cutting off a future generation of bold leaders that we need in times like this. We need you. We need you to speak out against that. We need you to protect those civil liberties. We need you to value those civil liberties. And also, yes, we also need people to be held accountable for the way we do our activism. That's true too. We do need to make sure that we're rooting out any part of our movements that are not to the benefit of all people, all of our people. And we will, and we can call that out. But we will also call out attacks on our civil liberties. We can do both. We must do both. And it's important that we stay in this fight. Do not lean out right now. Do not tap out right now, but call each other in. Our coalitions are not perfect. They've never been. Now more than ever, they're not. But it's more important that we continue to engage those coalitions, that we continue to strengthen them, that we continue to have honest conversation and debate, and that we continue to make sure that we're keeping our eyes focused on what the true enemy is right now. And those are the threats to our democracy.